Okay. Puppy dog, kitty cat, orange cat, what's up? Okay, that's going there. That's going there. All right. Hello. Hopefully the fan noise does not ruin everything, but this room was 89 degrees. Putting the fan in just a couple minutes, down to 82. Whew. His office is cooking, man. It is absolutely on fire. So, hello everybody. How's it going? It's very toasty here in the Pacific Northwest, and as a result, us Northwesterners who do not handle anything above 75 degrees, we are broken. Our brains have cooked. Our skin is sloughing off. There's not enough water in the world to quench our thirst, and we are slowly melting into the landscape. For the rest of you across the country are probably much worse shape. You have hotter temperatures than we do, and hurricanes and tropical depressions and all that stuff. So my complaints are minuscule compared to what you guys are dealing with. Duh. What did I write about to start the show? I think my brain just is all it thinks about is talking to orange cats over on the floor over here. Oh yeah. So SadBoi, I forgot to put a link for there. So SadBoi Incorporated, he has been doing an experiment with a penny stock called CUTR, CUTR, where he is personally building a giant gamma ramp, and it appears to have swung the price of the stock pretty significantly, because he bought about 1 p.m. Eastern. And I was going to look at this guy here. CUTR stock price. Yeah. So he moved it basically from $1.30 to $1.45. So it's up 7-8%. No, up 7%, another 5% after hours. So all from just buying a whole bunch of at the money options and a whole bunch of options just out of the money on this thing. Chrome. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, he bought it at about 1 p.m. today. So that would be here. So he bought it when it's $1.30 and put that sucker all the way up into $1.45 plus $1.46 just by building up a giant gamma ramp with the options chain. So he's experimenting with sort of what DFV's doing, but on a different ticker. And let's see here. Yeah, go there. Posted his initial doohickey here. Here we go. This is what he's working on. I'm repeating DFV's investment style. CUTR has a CUTR, whatever it is, has a float of 20 million shares. I know, super small float, kind of like GME when DFV first started. CUTR is also optionable, meaning that if a single investor purchases 200,000 call options or more, then exercise, they could own the entire public float of the company. I first purchased 1,000 out of the money $2 calls at 1 p.m. Central Time. Then I purchased 400 in the money $1 calls around 1:30 Central Time. By 1:30 Central Time, the price had risen by almost 10 cents. Both of these calls expired July 19, 2024. The most important aspect of this is that in the money calls force option sellers, market makers to delta hedge their portfolio to remain delta neutral. By purchasing in the money options, I'm testing whether I can force them to delta hedge their portfolio by buying shares in case I decide to exercise my $1 calls. When they purchase these shares, it will have the effect of sending the price upwards, moving my 1,000 $2 calls closer to becoming in the money. If they do become in the money, well, fuck, this is going to be fun when I start buying $3 calls. So there we go. Simple little explanation of what he's doing. And the $2 calls, pretty cheap right there, $10 each. And they've already moved up in price. Like what? I wonder what the options chain says for us. Let's see here. CUTR options chain. CUTR. Okay. So, looking at July 19th, so they're only on monthlies. So those $1 calls have already 10x'd, or 5x'd. They went from 10. No, sorry. I'm looking at this wrong. No, the price actually went down. He bought at 10. They were at 5 with no bid asks in there. But the volume, the entire volume of the options chain is is SadBoi, right? He bought 1,000. There was only 98 others in existence, and no one had a $1 one. So he is the entire options chain, basically. Wow. That's interesting. Huh. What is the historical price of this guy? Like, where has it been over the last year? It's been as high as 20, July of last year. It went. So it's been as low as $1.86, $1.60. So right now it's about the lowest it's been, below 150. For a stock that has not diluted any shares at all, that's pretty interesting. I have no idea what they do. CUTR. What do they make? What do they do? Avoclear long-term treatment from mild to severe. Looks like they're some sort of bio company. I have no idea. Interesting play. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with it. I need to do an After Dark? No, shit, that's the one they get in trouble with. Dang it. This one. No, this one. Do the other one, then I get copyright strike, and it's such a pain in the butt. I gotta edit it all out. Ugh.
Houston, we have a problem.
Okay. Even in my addled, cooked brain state, where are we now? Temperature 80. Whew. Nice. Hopefully the fan's not too loud. But some nice cool air on the back of my head feels really good. Because upstairs is 90 something degrees up here. I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to do shows this week. My head is so cooked right now. But let's just go what you're thinking, and we'll just go from there. Because I'm gonna be directionless unless I'm actually reading the chat. But Citizen 54 was first, and Avocados was woo. Kelly Reed was third. Kelly Reed, Canadian job market stalls in June as unemployment rates rise to 6.4%. Canada about to experience the worst case than America dealt with in 2008. Canadian home prices are still absolutely insane compared to the rest of the world. Which to me is bonkers because Canada has more land than anybody that's buildable. So Canada, figure your shit out already. Smurf Queef. Houston, do you think the GME will start having some volatility at the end of July? I forgot to look at what GME's options chain was looking at. It's looking like... we have... Oh, crap. It's past midnight East Coast. They turned off all the... Okay. We had a whole bunch of purchases at $25, or sells maybe, because 17,000 contracts traded today for this week. And the 19th is big monthlies. And not as much action on those as with the weeklies. Interesting. So if DFV is looking to do something, I don't think he's done his big purchases yet in GameStop, which is curious. Very curious. What about August? August 16th, anything happened yet? Nothing big for August. No big August purchases either. Okay. So, I mean, if all the T35 stuff is true, then they're going to have to do some purchasing. But the fact that it's been trading sideways, maybe the market makers have maybe they've been slowly doing their purchases, so they won't have a T35. Maybe because they're onto it, and they're like, "Whoa, we can't let this guy have his little squeeze again." So maybe they've actually been purchasing shares over the last X number of days, so that they can make good on that, 4 million share purchase. I hope volatility's back. Got some 719s, and it'd be nice to have them go at some point. Can I read all says happy birthday, Houston? U.S. unemployment down in June to 4.1%. Things breaking GME. Hope the explosion has crashed. Then cheers. Then when GME MOS. MOS would be so nice. I could, have a heat pump that makes this room like an ice chest. Oh, that'd be so wonderful. That'd be so wonderful. That'd be amazing. 10:30. Who's messaging me? Okay. All right. Mitki Sherperiel. Houston, happy birthday. What calls are looking spicy? Well, none at the moment. Implied volatility is way down. It's way down. I don't... What? Yeah, I mean, implied volatility is really small now. Let's look at the 719s. Yeah, implied volatility is like under 100% for a lot of the options chain for 719. So these prices are dropping and dropping hard. At the money is only $1.70 for 719. Implied volatility at 24.5 is 0.78%. That's probably as low as you're gonna see it. Because remember, things were popping in June, and we're seeing implied volatility is over 1,000%, and it's just madness, absolute madness. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Hans R. Somewhere in the top 10. Happy 4th of July. Hope 4th of July was a blast. As always, enjoy your birthday, and I'll see if I can find some fun coordinates. 4th of July was fantastic. Peruvian Bull made it over. Apparently lives over on the Seattle side, and he was like, welcome to your party. He showed up, got to chat with him a little bit. Bummer is that Miss Monkey Butt here, who got broken last year by someone letting off a mortar next to her head, took off. Gone. Poof. At like 8:30 at night. So the party became a search party, and we searched until wee hours, and my roommate actually went into the jungle and found her the next morning, and he's the hero. But yeah, not much sleep happened. She ended up crashing, falling asleep and not moving for a day. And now she's back to normal again. She's totally fine. Totally fine, right? Down there, floor dog, at 1,000,000 degrees. Are you fine? Are you fine? Huh? She seems fine. She's back to normal. But yeah, stupid fireworks. She never cared a whit about fireworks. They could explode. I remember her sitting with me and watching the fireworks one year that the city put on, and just being like, huh, look at all that. And now the slightest little boom booms out in the distance, and she just freaks the hell out. Can't handle it. All because drunk guy lit a mortar and went right next to her head, and from that point forward, she is broken. 8 years on this earth and should not care about fireworks. And now for the rest of her life, it will be trauma-inducing, a trigger source for her. KYP, get a desktop AC. I would love to have something. Right here, the air blows in my head really well right here. Okay. Smurf Queef, what's up with the low volumes on GME lately? Something or nothing? Obviously, there's no force buying going on. Let's see here. What was the GME volume today? Volume. You're not showing me volume at all. GME volume. Give me that volume. Volume was 11 million. And that's not very much at all. That's very little. That is nobody doing big purchases. If we're moving sideways, and I think pretty close to being down at the bottom. Oh great, now my video is freezing. Cool. My computer might be too warm. This might be happening. The room's too warm, the computer's like not doing it. But yeah, we're kind of, I think, at the floor right now. $23, $25. That seems to me to be the new floor for the stock. And it's just moving sideways. And I think if you're gonna buy, this is the price you gotta buy it at. I think it's gonna be really hard to push it down further. Especially if, you know, some whales out there sold some puts at like $22. I wonder what is the put action looking like right now? Let's go back to this guy. Let's see what we got in the way of puts this week. Oh yeah, because I forgot they turn off the open interest at night. That drives me up the wall. So I can't tell you how many puts are out there in existence. That's for the 19th. What about August? Oh, look at the August ones. Come on. You can do it. You have the power. You can do it. There we go. Oh, we're crying out loud. Why did you do that? Okay. Puts. We got some action at $20 puts. Like if you are bullish on GME, you're gonna sell puts, and a lot of them at just below the current market price. And when you do that, if it drops below that, then you guaranteed yourself those shares. That's a good way of building a floor onto this thing as well. So a lot of action at $25 puts. Well, Bex Houston, happy birthday. What was with KOSS trying to run last week? My guess is someone bought a lot of it, and we just have not seen filings of it, because what, 12, 13 times the float traded last Wednesday on KOSS, and put it from $5 to over 15 at one point. So it 3x'd plus more shares traded than should be in existence. It is not high frequency trading bouncing the same share back and forth 62 million times. No, there was serious buying going on because people had to buy, and that's the only reason. There's no options chain. The float's too small, so no options chain whatsoever. Just wild, absolutely crazy. I don't know how to. Some whale's doing something. That's all I know. Whether it was DFV or someone else. Was the algorithm? Because people suddenly started talking about it again. Hitting it. It's weird. It's weird. It's just so many shares to trade. Like something like 13 times the float trading should send off automatic alarm bells at the SEC to be like, we should launch an investigation because this many shares don't exist. Something's going wrong. Let's look at the CAT data and see who's buying what and why and where it's going. The only reason you have 13 times the float trade in a single day on a stock is crime. There's no other reason about it. It's either crime or blatant manipulation, and which is a crime. So, what? Investigate it. Their market regulators. Just investigate it. I know it's like 80 degrees in here now, but it still feels like a million. It's going to be cooler by that thing too because it has the cool air blowing on it. This is 78. It does not feel like 78 right here yet. But maybe if we close the door, we'll make the don't allow any of the hot air from the hallway to make it in here. Maybe it will drop steadily. And it's true, is that birthday? I'd watch tomorrow. I know it's late. It's late. This room is boiling. First Aid Productions is employment down to people who are working 2 or 3 jobs, and the government counts by the job and not by the people. That is definitely something that needs to be addressed in the future, is how many people are overemployed, right? You can say, oh, we added 200,000 jobs to the economy, but not if all 200,000 of those jobs are second and third jobs for people. I'm a firm believer that your economy is healthiest when everyone has one job. If they can earn a living and only work one job, then you're golden, right? But if you're working 3 full-time jobs and never sleeping because otherwise you're homeless, then the economy is not doing what it should be doing, and the government is not doing what it should be doing in making sure that humans have comfortable lives. That's all people want, is a nice, comfortable life. Just, that should be a human right. Like, you are born, you are allowed to have a comfortable life. And anything beyond that, well, that's going to be on you. Here we are, cooking. Absolutely just baking right now. Leon Noel, why yes, James Woods does have a hot voice. James Woods also is kind of an asshole. Read up. Was Amanda? What's her name? She was like a teen star in the 90s. Amanda. Well, she wrote a whole piece about how James Woods was in his 50s and trying to sex her up when she was an underage teenager. Andrew Stewart, Houston, Bradbury, or Asimov? Asimov. Ray Bradbury, Isaac Asimov. Probably Asimov. I enjoyed his stories, but then I found out later that he also is kind of a gross dude. Too many dudes are gross dudes. It makes it hard to like enjoy their art afterwards when you find out. But Asimov used to do the daily trivia puzzle in the newspaper. Someone else took it over after he passed away. But there was always good trivia. For Zip Productions. If some hedgies approached NextBridge about buying or obtaining more shares than were issued, is that confidential info, or could the NextBridge release that info? If they never signed an NDA about that, they could release that info. And they pretty much did. They didn't say exactly how much, but they hinted at that it was significantly more than the number of shares that should exist. So, or at least the number of shares that FINRA claimed were short. KYP, donors and options, we can buy shares though. Yes, you can always buy shares. And then fiddle with options later. Citizen4, UK or France, the ways things are going with the election, it's either weekend at Bernie's versus weekend at Mingla's. How close are we to imploding as a democracy? Bar is set so low, Trump can do no wrong. Well, the left and center left absolutely destroyed in the British election. Labour got the largest majority it's ever had in its history. The coordination between the far left and Macron's center left in the French elections was brilliant and absolutely marginalized the fascists. Let's face it, Marine Le Pen's party was formed out of the collaborators of the Nazis, the Vichys, and that's what they've stood for ever since. So they are pro-Putin, fascist, racist, horrible monsters. And basically, what the center left and the far left did in France was they had 3 candidates on a ballot, and they basically said, okay, you have 35%, you have 25%, you pull out. This person now has 60%, whatever. Like, it went boom, 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 and they just cut out all the people that would draw votes away, so that because what it came down to was people were going to be really stoked about the Nazis, or they didn't want those, and they'll vote for anyone except for the far right. So they had everyone drop out, whether they're center left or far left, so that one of those candidates would prove victorious with a majority of the votes from both those thirds, and it allowed them. There's no one party ruling, so there's going to be a coalition between the left and center left, and they're basically going to make sure that the Le Pen's Nazi party doesn't ruin everything for everyone. Because basically, Le Pen wants everyone out of the European Union, they want them out of NATO, and they want to become pro-Russia. Those are the three things they want. And what they're campaigning on is a whole bunch of sort of xenophobic, racist, anti-immigration policies. And yeah, immigration is an issue all over the world. It is. But a lot of that issue comes from the fact that, like, we, as Westerners, colonized half the world and destroyed it. And now there's wars and famines and all sorts of things people are fleeing. And so they're going to go to where the money is, which is where we are, because we stole the money out of those nations. So the solutions, I don't think, are going to be found in let's imprison and murder immigrants. It's going to be found in how do we overcome the scars of colonization and ensure nations that were once colonized can thrive finally. But yeah, immigration is just going to get worse, especially if we've got heat domes and flooding happening all over the world, and entire sections of continents become uninhabitable. Like, we got people dropping dead in the California desert because it's hitting 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that's hot. The desert gets hot. But it shouldn't be 130 degrees Fahrenheit hot. Like, when I was a kid, the record high was 120. We are well past that now in just 40 years. So, like, Vegas is setting temperature records. Vegas should be inhuman hot anyways, and it's getting too hot in Vegas. It's the temperature now where you can't have planes land to take off because the air's too thin. It gets above 118 degrees, and like the Phoenix airport has to shut down because planes can't safely take off and land. How do we rectify that? I don't know. Racist policies aren't going to help us there. But yes, next question. How close are we to imploding as democracy? If you've read Agenda 47 or the Project 2025, what they will do utilizing presidential executive orders, and ones that, no matter how illegal they are or whatever crimes are committed, Trump now has immunity, will be to destroy democracy in America. They will do massive purges of bureaucrats. So they will get rid of functional scientists and technocrats and people that know what they're doing, and they'll replace them with flunkies. They will force people in U.S. government to, pledge their loyalty to Donald Trump and not to the Constitution of the United States. We're really close to becoming a dictatorship. I mean, like, we're that close. We got 4 months to find out if it's going to happen. But yeah, everything Trump says he's going to do on day one is terrifying, and I think we have to take him at his word. I don't think we can pretend like, it's all just smoke. No, he's going to do it. And he's got the immunity now to do whatever the hell he wants. So, take that in consideration. Just think about that. Love stars. You need liquidity in the open options market to profit. You do. I realized that today on MVIS. MVIS. I own 20% of the options at MVIS expiring 7/19. MVIS. Microvision Incorporated. Options change. So this is another little guy here. Okay, so we're looking at 719. Boom. I have no idea what open interest is because stupid Yahoo turns it off at midnight. Or $1.12. You can get $1.50 options for 3 cents, $3. Pretty decent. It's up 1% today. I think what you gotta do is you gotta purchase like what SadBoi did. You have to go in here for these guys at $17. You gotta purchase like 10,000 of them or something, and at the money. And then when that jumps, then you purchase another 10,000 at $1.50, and you work your way up that way and build the gamma ramp. Aaron Salentine, okay, Houston, when is the next T35 on KOSS from July 3rd? Can we count it live to predict the next one-day pop? Thanks. Oh my gosh, my brain is so cooked. It's too warm. Okay, so July 3rd. That is 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. So that would be T35 by days would be Wednesday the 7th of August. And if it's C35, it's business days. It would be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Would be the 28th of August. So if it's just calendar days, it's the 7th of August. If it is business days, it's the 28th of August. So, one of those two. If you got it. First Productions, happy birthday, Houston. Are you brilliant and without using your keyboard, can you spell it? IT. Aaron Salentine, the shorts are going to short KOSS hard leading up to the next T35. Oh, they definitely will. And they got a ways to go. I wish there was an options chain on it because you could play that and win $1,000 off it easily in that amount of time. Because KOSS got hit hard today on like no volume. Where'd it go? KOSS. KOSS. Yeah, KOSS is down to 1049. It was down at 9 something earlier today. 9 was that low? 960. Get a little jump again, and then mill it out. So it had quite a big puny pop happen to it. Well, yeah, they'll probably try to short deck back down to like $3 or $4 if they can, because that's where they want it. But if something weird's happening, you know, takeover, merger, whatever, then shit's getting wild. But yeah, volume was still 9.9 million shares, so almost or more than 4 million shares, 4.7 million shares more than is in the float. That's stupid. That's silly. And the price went down. Doesn't make any sense. The only thing that can do that is manipulation. Emtra, what's up with Project 2025? Project 2025 was created by the Heritage Foundation, and the Heritage Foundation is a far-right Christian nationalist organization. Now, these folks don't believe in freedom of religion or freedom from religion. They firmly believe that this is a Christian nation that should be led by Christian rules. But not just any Christian rules, but fundamentalist Christian rules. They want to claim literal interpretation of the Bible, but none of them ever actually read the Bible before. They pick and choose here and there what draconian measures they think are godly, but they don't think there should be in vitro fertilization, abortion, LGBTQ community people shouldn't exist. They think that women shouldn't be allowed to divorce their husbands via no-fault divorce. They want marriages to stay regardless of how abusive they are. They don't believe children have rights, thoughts, emotions, that they should basically be little slave labor children. So the Heritage Foundation, when Donald Trump won in 2016, it was as much a surprise to Donald Trump as it was to anyone else. Polls were showing that he wouldn't win, and he did. Well, he didn't win the popular vote. He won the electoral college vote. And so he was not organized. He's not a politician who knows how to set up a White House and, people to run the bureaucracies and stuff like that. Like to the point where Jared Kushner went to the White House and was like, so how many of you are staying behind? And everyone in the West Wing's like, fuck you. Because we don't work for you. And they all left. And he was like, oh, I'm supposed to run the West Wing and I don't know who to hire. So they had no idea what they're doing. It took them quite a while to spool up and figure out how to run the West Wing, how to put people in charge of bureaucracy. Almost everyone that Trump hired, either went to prison or Trump had to fire them because they were like, well, you want me to commit crimes, I'm not going to do that. So there's a lot of missed opportunities for creating this theocratic state that the Heritage Foundation wanted. So they created Project 2025, which is basically a step-by-step guidebook. Trump can just take this 900-page thing, start on page 1, and just start doing what they recommend, and go from there. And especially with the Supreme Court ruling that Trump now has immunity to everything, and can commit no crimes, as long as he's doing official acts, he can push through all sorts of awful stuff. Essentially stripping away birthright citizenship from people. So if your parents weren't American citizens at the time you were born here in America, one or more, you can lose your citizenship, right? They're talking about doing executive orders to do this. If you are an immigrant who came here legally, went through the citizenship process, became a citizen, they're talking about stripping you of your citizenship. They want to do mass deportations of tens of millions of people who are here legally, just strip them of their work permits, strip them of everything, and send their asses out of the country, and absolutely eviscerate our economy in the process because we're not having enough babies. They also want to force people to have babies, but at the same time, they don't want us to do it using in vitro fertilization for some reason. They want to cut, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They want to slash the VA's budget. So all of you who are veterans, fuck you. You aren't going to get treatment for your weird cancers you got from standing over burn pits or Agent Orange or anything else you've had to deal with, inhaling, depleted uranium munition dust, all that stuff. You're screwed because they don't want to pay for it. It is a horrendous document. If you even just read the bullet points, you will go, oh my God, this is awful. Trump came out, he's like, I don't know who these people are, I have nothing to do with them. He does. They write his policy. Stephen Miller works for them, who was his head of policy. His current press secretary also works for the Heritage Foundation. Like, they know exactly what they're doing, and that Trump knows what they're doing as well. He can try to lie to people as much as he can, but, the parallels between Agenda 47, which is Trump's mishmash of incoherent demands of what he's going to do, and the organized demands of what the Heritage Foundation put out for Project 2025 is there's a lot of parallels there. John Oliver had a good show a couple weeks ago on Project 2025, kind of explaining just the damage that will happen in the bureaucratic numbers. Like, there are people who are career government employees. These people are scientists, they're lawyers, they're social workers, educators. Their job remains so they can do a task and be technically proficient at that task, regardless of who is president, right? the heads of the agencies may change, but the people within those agencies stay the same because they're experts in what they do, and they will make sure that the law is followed, that the tasks get completed, the budgets are fair, etc. Well, a large part of the Project 2025 is basically doing huge firings of people in these positions that should be there over decades, right? So that there's continuity and expertise. And they want to fire almost everyone, turn a whole bunch of them into appointee positions, regardless of ability, know-how, technical expertise, etc., because they want loyalty to Trump. And that is how you destroy a nation right there. Is you take the civil service and you turn it into a political operation where everyone who works there must pay fealty to the president or the king or whatever, and not to their jobs or the nation. And you will destroy the Park Service. You will destroy USGS. You will destroy the National Energy Administration. You'll destroy the Atomic Energy Administration. You'll destroy, the CDC, the Health and Human Services, the National Forest Service, like EPA, anything where people do good will be gone. Absolutely gone. Like, your job, the EPA, is to make sure that we can breathe our air. Nope, you're fired. You wouldn't agree to sign a loyalty oath to the president. You're fired. We're going to take this guy from who's a business major from Liberty University. He's going to be in charge of your job at the EPA, and bribery is now legal, so he will do whatever the polluters pay him to do, right? And you can't bust him because we made it legal. Thanks, Supreme Court. We're fucked. We're just straight up. If Project 25 gets enacted, there'll probably be war. That's what it'll probably be. There'll probably be war. Because there'll be states who will be like, no, we're not going to follow this bullshit. We secede. I would not doubt it. And it'll be a completely divided and ripped apart country almost from day one. So yeah, read up on it. It is a brutal document, and there's very little in there where I can go, oh, that makes sense. It's just, it's all from the perspective of a very, very, very far right fundamentals understanding of Christianity and the Bible. And not everyone's Christian. Not everyone believes in the Bible. This country was founded on the fact, was founded by people who didn't agree with the Bible. A significant number of the folks who were considered founding fathers were what is known as deists, meaning they didn't believe in Christianity, they didn't believe Jesus existed, they weren't Christians. They basically said, oh, there was a higher force out there somewhere, but I disagree as to which religion is correct. A lot of them are probably atheists or leaning towards it, but it may not. It's easier to say you're a deist than it is to say you're an atheist. And they made freedom of religion an important point of our nation's founding. We had large Jewish communities. We had lots of different sects of Christianity. We had a lot of people who weren't religious in any way, shape, or form. So yeah. Low B says, don't forget the Project 2025 plan to dismantle the Department of Education. Can't have poor kids getting education and a chance to succeed. Yeah, one of the things they want to do is, if you are a public school who receives federal dollars, you would have to teach Christianity in your schools. So become indoctrination programs. We have private schools, religious private schools for a reason. If you want your kids to learn, things about the Christian faith, you send them to a private Christian school. You don't need to turn our public schools into that. I had a teacher who tried doing that. Mr. Florian. Mr. Florian sucks. I'll say this right now. You suck, Mr. Florian. He was a math teacher. And I was in advanced math classes, super advanced math classes. And it's from freshman year. I'm in a classroom full of people who are like juniors and seniors. And who are also, there it's advanced math for them, and I'm in their classes. And Mr. Florian is reading his church bulletin. to us. It's Monday morning. It's like, let me just, it's Monday, church was yesterday, let me really read my bulletin to you. And he would read his church bulletin. And I was like, hey, Mr. Florian, you're a state employee. You shouldn't be doing that. He's like, excuse me? I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't be reading your church bulletin to us in a math class. Your job is to teach us math, not to proselytize your religion to us in this classroom. No offense, man, but you're a state employee. That's your job. And from that point forward, I failed everything. I failed absolutely everything. He failed me in everything. I had to go to summer school for advanced math because he failed me. It didn't matter what I did or how well I did. I am a little devil child, therefore I fail. He also taught the computer programming courses, and I took computer programming from him. Failed me in that too. I had to go to computer programming for summer school. So at that point forward, I'm like, look, this guy is not going to give me a fair shake. I'm out. So I didn't take any other classes he taught. I had to avoid him and have other teachers teach me things. Then at the end of my junior year, one of our vice principals, goes on maternity leave, and they appoint Mr. Florian as vice principal. Ah, shit. So stuff starts going downhill. He starts having in the lunchroom a whole bunch of little booths set up for various youth pastors from churches in the area would come and, proselytize and do their missions to children in our schools during lunch. And he got in trouble for that and was like, oh, I'm so sorry to realize do anything wrong. And I graduated, gone, and he was doing it again and got in trouble again. So their solution was like not to fire him for breaking the law multiple times. It was like, hey, maybe having him be vice principal at the high school is a good idea. So let's make him principal at the middle school. So he got promoted upwards and became principal at the middle school. Well, flash forward a couple of years, I had finished my college degree. I finished one of my graduate degrees. I'm working professionally. I'm a professor over in the city, and he gets in trouble because it's discovered by parents who are trying to become lunchroom volunteers in the middle school that they can't, that it's full. And they ask well, who's the volunteers? And there's a whole bunch of people who don't have children at the middle school. Turns out there's a whole bunch of youth pastors from churches in the area who got jobs as the lunchroom volunteers. And the parents are like, what the hell? These guys don't even have kids at this school. Then they found out that they never had to take a background check, which is required by law. So they had a whole bunch of youth pastors who probably half of them touch kids because let's face it, that's youth pastors, working closely with their children, proselytizing to them during lunch. So there's a giant hearing the school board had. I wrote a letter to the school board and the superintendent, basically saying hey, this is my experience with this guy. He's a religious whack job. He will not follow your rules because to him, God's telling him to do this, and God is be all end all. You can say, hey, we're trying to have a secular system here, and freedom of religion and freedom from religion. He's gonna be like, no, God told me I have to convert as many of these children as possible. That's my role on earth. And so there's a big giant hearing. I got called as a witness, and we go in there, and I basically tell that story all over again about how I was being punished for telling him not to read his church bulletin to us. And then I explained, I was like, hey, he failed me in math, he failed me in computer programming. I am now an astrophysicist and a math professor who also worked programming computers for 4 years. And Mr. Florian gets the microphone. He's like, maybe you failed because you just thought you were smarter than everyone else. And so I get in the microphone, I go, Mr. Florian, I am smarter than everyone else. I'm an astrophysics professor. And the whole room went, oh. I was like, I've taken higher levels of math than you've ever done. I can do more than you. I could do more than you when I was 14 years old. So he ended up not getting fired. He basically was like, I guess I'll retire now. And that was the solution. Anyway, now imagine you have an entire government run by people like that, right? That all they do is what they think God wants them to do and not what the rules of the land is. And despite the fact that that God has whole render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and you go to the Old Testament, talks about obeying the laws of the land, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They think that because what they believe is such a higher purpose than anything else, that the laws of man don't matter at that point. That rule of law is out the window if you've got mandate from heaven. And that's what the Project 2025 people firmly believe. They firmly believe that it's in everyone's best interest to basically punish people for being born elsewhere, punish people for being born different races, different sexualities, different genders, whatever, and that they are somewhat subhuman until they become like us, white, heterosexual presenting. The half of them are probably on Grindr on the DL anyway. Folks who are Christian and upstanding and conservative, and it's just they want to eliminate the differences and diversity that makes us strong, and instead put in a homogeny that's like monocropping that makes the entire country susceptible to any number of contagion. Diversity is a strength, and a lot of people don't realize what a strength it is. But having people from different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses, different religions, ethnicities, etc., allows us to be much more maneuverable, much more adaptable, and way more creative. It's true. You will get the best art, the best engineering, the best bureaucracy, all from the fact people come from different backgrounds in this country and bring with them different experiences. If you try to homogenize the entire thing, you will weaken the whole system. Absolutely weaken it. So here we are. Your option is, a doddering old man who's got pretty good administration, I'll be honest, or a doddering old man who wants to tear everything down and just destroy us. I don't know how else to put it, to line his own pocket. Those are the options we got. And I know folks get upset when I talk politics on this, but that's our future. That's what we got. We got those two options. As a nation, celebrate our existence rather than just destroy it instantaneously and become Gilead. Just like there are people in Project 2025 who watch The Handmaid's Tale and they're like, hell yeah, let's do that. They identify with the villains in that because they're like, that seems amazing. Let's all try that. Just like the guys who watched The Boys and didn't realize that Homelander was the bad guy. Like, it's in your face the entire time that Homelander is a Nazi and a complete psychopath, that he's a bad guy. And the writers for season 4 had to be so overt and so in your face that all of a sudden they're like, what? We're the baddies? Yeah, dude. Rage Against the Machine doesn't agree with you either, and it hasn't for 35 years. Like, you're not getting it. Stephen Colbert wasn't on your side either. We did the Colbert Report. Okay, enough of that. Melting my brain some more. Phil Clayton, good to catch you live. Houston, DC, 2025 being the new floor for GME. Are the dumb stormtroopers thick enough to drop it lower? I don't think it goes below 23, really. I think 23 is kind of the floor. It's going to bounce off of that and just, ricochet between 23 and 25 and just teeter out until volatility comes back. Until DFV, if he chooses to, lines up another options play and makes this thing go riggedy rocket. Danjo, what happened to that June 21st date with all the leaps expiring? Seemed like a big nothing burger. It definitely seemed like a big nothing burger. Yeah, nothing happened. So either our T-35 inklings are wrong, or there's something else at play, which possibly is just a rich guy buying a whole bunch of options and shares, causing the price to go boom boom for a little while. Yeah. First Day Productions, ABC was on fire with DD and speculation on the PP show. He thinks DFV is going after multiple stocks, so there are many fires popping for the hedgies to put out and lose control. I mean, he did buy into Chewy, and he may have bought into KOSS. I don't know. I think it's very possible that he's like, hey, I'm going to target everything in the XRT basket, and we're going to get them all to explode. And he's making a killing off of these options, right? He probably made $30+ million off of his Chewy options. He's able to buy 9 million shares of Chewy, which will cost him what? Was that 25 something? Where's my calculator? Did I close my calculator? Close my calculator. Calculator. What did the calculator say? So about 9 million, 1,000. You did it what? $24, $25? What was his average? So $216 million worth of shares there. So he must have made an absolute fortune playing the options on that thing to be able to purchase $216 million worth of shares. I wouldn't doubt he's playing with margin at the moment also, but we know he's got a Fidelity account. He only recently showed us his E-Trade account, but he has multiple brokerage accounts, and I wouldn't doubt if he is making plays in those other accounts with other stocks. So I don't know what he purchased Chewy with, if it was E-Trade or Fidelity, but he's got a lot going on. He's got a lot more cash on hand than anyone could speculate at this point if he's been doing $200 million plays a couple weeks in a row. So he's got $200 million in GameStop. He's got $200 million in Chewy, right? What else has he got? Matrix, or Matique, sorry. Hello everyone, BBY is dead, or are we still waiting for some action? Oh, BBY is going to live. That's, I mean, I've seen the NDA cover sheet, or the header. There are two plans. There's a liquidation plan, and then there's a reorganization plan. And that reorganization plan is under a blackout. They don't have to do any reporting whatsoever to the SEC. They could be doing all sorts of crazy things in there. And there's a bunch of files that are redacted, a bunch of testimonies redacted, a whole bunch of things that are withheld by the courts regarding that. Weird things have happened with Baby. So Dream On Me purchased them, but Dream On Me doesn't own them anymore, and it's not owned by BBBY Acquisition Company. Dream On Me isn't even a partner anymore. They're just a vendor. Not even a special status vendor. If you go to the Bye Bye Baby website, they're even listed as like a featured producer of products. So they were used as some sort of weird shell in that whole thing. And then we've got, Flexport, this giant distribution network, warehouse network that works for online retailers, seemingly tweeting out butterflies and things now. And they purchased a whole bunch of old Bed Bath warehouses. We've got the clawbacks, which should result in billions that could be distributed to creditors and shareholders at that point, based on fraud from the board, fraud from shippers, fraud from all sorts of suppliers. We've got the $11.8 billion administrative claim against Bed Bath & Beyond by Brandon Meadows, who, the liquidating plan administrator Goldberg went after. He was like, this doesn't seem right. And he investigated, and all of a sudden, he's like, I'm not touching that thing with a 10-foot pole. It's legit. Okay, why is there an $11.8 billion claim against Bed Bath & Beyond if they never had $11.8 billion in debt? Like, is this an $11.8 billion loan to the reorganizing trust so that they can do all sorts of plays? Is it a lien as a result of what JP Morgan's going to owe on the fraudulent share buybacks and the collusion with the board to cut out, a viable purchase of the company? Like, there's weird things that are going on, and I think equity and cash is coming the shareholders' way, and that canceling the shares was a way to ensure that there was no change of ownership during this time of bankruptcy, and that shorts could not close out their positions as a result. So that if and when the equity comes back, shorts are so screwed. The brokerages who did penny for the lot closures are screwed. They'll have to go back in the market and purchase back all their shares for those shareholders. It's going to be messy, and I'm ready for it. And I need more water. It's thirsty. I don't feel like this room has gotten any cooler. What's the temperature now? It says 78. It does not feel like 78. This computer still feels like 90. I think the cold air blowing in the back of the temperature sensors is firmly believes it's 78. But I don't think it's 78. All right, Pure Point. Damn, you're on late as fuck. I know, man. It's in the 90s, and in the 90s means it's 110 up here in the office. I was hoping late night show would cool this thing off. And my skull's at way too high a temperature. I'm gonna have to go back downstairs and, I don't know, live inside the freezer chest or something. Because I don't know if you guys can sense what I'm feeling, but holy crap, I am so warm right now. I got no juice. I got no pizzazz in me. Ha-cha-cha-cha. Okay. Danjo, so now what is DFV's next move? Not sure. Apes will wait another 3 years. Something needs to hit the fan soon. Diamond balls. I don't know either, man. I'm so bad at interpreting those emojis and what they can mean. You got me. Love stars. Maybe DFE is putting pressure on Jamie Board to create shareholder value. I think their shareholder value has already been created. They have billions in cash. They're profitable. What more can you ask? Thursday Productions. How is the baseball game? Aren't hold up. Are there certain people you want? 2K. Anyone you know who really wants to tater one on you? I got tatered real hard. It's really hard to show. See that? See this guy? I try to turn my arm this way. There we go. I got hit with an 85-mile-an-hour fastball right in the forearm. It is very tender. It was the innings before I was supposed to pitch, and the bruise, it's kind of hard to see in the light here, but it is jaundice and yellow about all the way through here. The red part has actually gone down a little bit today, but in the daylight, it just was like green, yellow. Yeah, so second at bat, I'm in there. We have a rule that if you get 2 strikes on someone, you can't throw anything off speed. Like, you gotta throw a fastball. Because none of us play that often. The pitchers have an advantage over the hitters in this case because no one ever gets swings in. So you have to throw a fastball. And I was like, sitting on fastball. I'm like, my fastball's coming. I'm gonna stroke this thing. And fastball came, and it was a tailing fastball, and it ran in. And I moved my head out of the way, but went between me and the bat, got me right in the forearm, ejected the bat straight in the air. The pain was immediate. I was like, duh! I had not been beamed seriously with a baseball in 20 years, and my brain, for a moment, was like, what do I do? Oh, I'm supposed to go to first base. Oh, yeah. The pitcher felt terrible. He was like, I'm so sorry. None of us mean to beat each other. We don't play often enough to have enemies or anything like that. So, yeah, I was supposed to pitch, but I really couldn't make a fist for hours. I had this huge swelling all through my forearm and into my hand. And so I just ended up staying at first base and played most of the game at first base. I had some good picks, though. I had some gold glove quality picks at first base that surprised the hell out of me. Basically, if the ball hits the grass, it'll probably bounce over your head. If it hits the dirt, it'll immediately die in worm killer. So you have to either plan to scoop it off the ground or to go over your head with it. And it's really hard to judge, especially when dudes are throwing from like third base or shortstop, and it's probably the furthest they've thrown a ball in a year, which one it's going to hit. And I made some good picks. I really surprised myself. But my team still lost. We lost like 9-1. We got crushed. Absolutely crushed. I went 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch. I struck out once and had a fly out. As long as I don't get 3 strikeouts in the game, I'm happy with myself. It's been a while since I had a good hit. I had a double pre-COVID. Since then, Last year, I think I did a golden sombrero. I think I struck out 3 times. The year before that, I made contact 4 times and did have at least a base hit, maybe 2. But yeah, last year was a bad year. I was not ready. But yeah, 85 to the forearm. I'm glad it was the meat and not the bone. That thing would have broken something at this point. So now I didn't get the pitch. I've been practicing. I was so ready to pitch this year. So excited. And I didn't get to. Marvin G, next species develop speech. Thoughts? We got birds that can do it. Anything else? Well, I mean, there is language between dolphins. Like dolphins have conversation, their own language. I'm sure whales do. It'll be interesting to see if we're ever able to teach a lower primate how to enunciate words, right? Like they can make sounds, they go ooh ah, but like being able to manipulate their voice box and their lips in such a way and their tongue to pronounce words would be interesting. And right now we can teach them sign language, but talk to me, Coco. Ryan H says hi to Monkey Butt and Fat Cat. Fat Cat, I think, is outside enjoying the lovely evening air. Monkey Butt is passed out. She's doing pretty well. I'm gonna go for like 6 more minutes. I'm so hot. I'm so warm. I'm sorry. I need to just, I don't know, take a cold shower or something. Matt Lee says, keep an eye on deep in the money instead of out of the money. Definitely. Kevin Biller, what was the high temp there today? 94 or so? It was 124 at 6 p.m. in Arizona. Yeah, at least you guys have air conditioning down there. We don't really have that up in the Northwest. Our record is about 120, and that was set in 2021, June 2021, and that broke our record by 17 degrees. And it killed everything. Killed the lawns, killed the trees, killed the fruit, killed the people. It was a freak heat dome, and I never want to experience that again, ever. Robert Manson, go Indians. I won't use the other name, and go Mariners. Also, go BBY, Jimmy, and MMTLP, and Newell. Yeah, Newell Brands looks like they've got some interesting things going on. Carl Icahn's got some interesting things going on. I just want to know, like, when all this crap is going to coalesce and do its thing, right? Matthew Bennett, happy birthday. Tell us again about the time you ended Scott Adams' career. The frame is currently behind the fan. Where Scott Adams called me an idiot. I have that framed, and I will keep that this way forever. I think my camera is totally failing right now. The computer's probably way too hot. So anyway, Scott Adams, this was February, March of 2023. He has a podcast. Not too unlike what I do here. You know, it's him at his desk talking to people. And he basically said a bunch of really, really racist crap. Disparaging things about black people, and in his little sphere of racist assholes who watch his podcast, it didn't really leave that. And I posted the video from his podcast of him being super duper 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 racist, tagged him in it, of course, and it led to like hundreds of thousands of views. and Scott Adams coming into my Twitter and being super racist, doubling down, not apologizing, not being sorry about what he said, and then gaslighting everyone as to like, oh, you think I really meant that? I'm like, yeah, you do, and you're doubling down right now, which led him to calling me an idiot. And he had tons of bots, so many, and I wish Bot Sentinel still had access to the Twitter API, because it was such a wonderful program. You could just put in an account and it would show you like exactly how much of not a human they are, or if they belong to a troll farm, etc., where their IPs were coming from. And so I was pointing out all these people that were, all these accounts, not people, all these accounts that were like pro Scott Adams were so obviously being paid for by Scott Adams to blow Scott Adams while he was online. And I ended up ratioing him probably a couple hundred times in that comment. It was for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. He spent 2 weeks on the internet in my mentions on my Twitter feed. And as a result of me making the greater world aware of his really racist podcast and him being super racist in my Twitter mentions, he lost every single solitary newspaper that syndicated Dilbert. So I cost him millions a year. Millions. So Scott Adams is unemployed because of this guy. Feels good. Because that guy sucks. He's also a complete weirdo who he's really into quick induction hypnotism. Have you ever studied hypnosis? Quick induction hypnotism is the type of hypnotism you do like on stage if you are like doing hypnosis show, where like you quickly put someone down and get them to become a chicken and bark, whatever. He's really into it. Except it appears he likes brainwashing teenage girls. And I don't know if it was 60 Minutes. I can't remember what the interview was, but he did some sort of, it's like 60 minutes interview or something. And, you know, a little 10, 15-minute piece. And even the interviewer's like, hey, Scott, who are all these young women all over your house, like, cleaning and cooking and stuff? It's like, oh, those are some plays. No. Those are girls that he brainwashed using quick induction hypnotism and just makes them hang around and do things for him. He's the one who gave his stepson a gun and told him to kill himself. Killed himself. He was battling drug addiction and everything. He basically married like one of those teenagers he married, but then that teenager ran away from him as fast as they could and divorced him. Yeah, he's a creepy fucking dude. Real creepy guy. Which is a bummer because I did enjoy Dilbert for a time. You know, who didn't laugh at Dilbert? But then he just really got weird and racist. And, you know, that doesn't fly with Houston. Okay. Okay, we'll do one more. And then Mike Houston's gotta just sit inside the refrigerator. Where am I? Where was I? I lost my spot. Okay. That's there. What was the last one? That was T35 one. That was that one. That was DFE. That was a speech one. There we go. There's Matthew Bennett. Amanda Bynes. Yes, thank you, Kevin Biller. You were correct. That's who it was. Yeah, so James Woods, 50 years old, was trying to have sex with Amanda Bynes, who I think was like 15 or 16 at the time. And Amanda was like, get the hell out of here, you creepy old man. And then she wrote a whole article about just what a creeper he is. So yeah, don't be, I don't want it to go on to be a stronger than lizard brain speech, but just date adults. Is that too much to ask? Like, I don't know, wait for like their prefrontal cortexes to develop all the way, you know, sort of come into their own as a human being. Like, just let that happen. If you were an adult, you should date adults, not children who are still developing. I don't care if they're kids, adolescents, teenagers. Just let them be kids. It's not that hard to do. Let them grow up. Let them figure things out in life. Don't be a creepy asshole. Be stronger than your lizard brain. It's not difficult. You can have dirty thoughts. I'm not trying to mind police you. Like, you know, people have dirty thoughts all the time. Just don't act on them. Be stronger than those dirty thoughts. Things will pop into your brain. Like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Just don't. Just don't do it. Just chill, man. Chill. Get yourself a cup of coffee. Read the newspaper. And don't be a disgusting perv. I don't know how else to put it. Like, just let kids be kids and don't try to have sex with them. Is that too hard? Is that too much to ask? First Day Productions, what purpose do those dudes in khaki pants, masks, and flag when they walk around certain towns? It was super funny seeing some of them get unmasked from walking proud and straight. That is the Patriot Front, and there's a whole bunch of little sub-organizations, you know, the white Christian nationalists or whatever. If you want to see some funny videos, look at the leaked videos of them training. It is, like, whenever you see a post about the Patriot Front, you know, hopping out of their U-Hauls and going on a march, you're like, those are just a bunch of feds. If you saw those training videos, you would know that those uncoordinated goofballs are not in the slightest feds. People who get hired on, like, to the FBI or other three-letter agencies, they're not fucking dorks. And these guys are fucking dorks. They are uncoordinated, they're unathletic, they are untrainable, they're losers. They are as loner losers as possible. And what they did was they found a whole group of other loser loners and they went, hey, if we like get together, we'll almost have friendships for once in our life. And that's basically what they are, is that they're a club for loser dorks. And last year in Oregon City, during Pride, the Proud Boys showed up and an adjacent group, the Patriot Front, showed up. And the Proud Boys went and go beat the shit out of the Patriot Front dudes. And what they discovered was a whole bunch of Patriot Front dudes were actually also members of the Proud Boys. So when they unmasked them, they went, holy shit, I know who you are, you're my cousin. Which literally was one of the things that were said. And another guy who was in charge of the Patriot Front is also a member of the Proud Boys. It's a turf war over who can be the biggest dork-ass loser in the entire world. And just silly. If you have Patriot Front come to town, call the cops. Call the cops for the fact that they're all illegally inside the back of a U-Haul driving around. When they got arrested in, was it Post Falls, Idaho, I think? They got arrested for trying to incite a riot, so the cops showed up. One of them who was there, you know, they're going to this Pride event to go beat people up, disrupt it, because they believe people who are LGBT are grooming children. And one of the guys who was arrested on his phone had child pornography and was then arrested and charged for child pornography. So these guys are like, oh, they're all groomers, when in fact they themselves are the groomers. They're just khaki wearing Nazi douchebags. That's what they are. It's just, so if you see them in their U-Haul, and you see where they get out of the U-Haul and where they leave U-Hauls, go to the local hardware store. Buy a few master locks. Wait for them when they come back to get back in U-Hauls and just click those suckers closed and call the cops. Because it's summertime. They're in like Nashville, wherever they are right now. It's going to be real warm inside that U-Haul. They're going to desperately want to get out. They will do anything for those police officers to arrest them at that point. And you'd be doing the world service. I'm surprised that they can even rent U-Hauls anymore. Corbett Walnut, you are my daddy, and you know it. All right, I'm really warm, guys. I'm gonna try and figure out. Like, tomorrow's supposed to be really hot. It's supposed to be like 96, 97 tomorrow. Try to figure out if I can do a show tomorrow. It will get slightly cooler on Wednesday, and then down into the 80s again, like low 80s the rest of the week. I don't know when I can do a show. It's still so god awful warm in here. It's just that time of the year, man. We'll have to just check you guys later. I'll figure out when we're going to do one. If anything interesting happens, I'll just, I don't know, fill up a kiddie pool and do it from here. Or maybe I could set up outside. We'll see. It's much more pleasant in the yard than it is in here. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. And I'm going to drink some cool beverages and stand inside the refrigerator. And I'll catch you guys later, right? Regular After Dark. Monkey, let's get the hell out of here. Huh? so warm right now. I'm just like swamp ass man, just ass swamping all over the place.